Right, we're going to take a few more tactical pot shots at one of my opponents again, and we're going to have a look now at a game I played against a young player called Kravtsov, and I played him, of all places, in a Dutch weekend tournament in Haarlem. Was one of the first tournaments I played after starting chess all over again, so it was was quite a nice feeling to play a few good games at that tournament. This is the position in front of us. It's well, you can certainly see that I've got a fetish for putting pawns on light squares. At any rate, it's came from a sort of Rai Lopez position in which I'd at some stage I'd swapped off my light squared bishop for a black knight, and I'd got an awful lot of moves in on the king side, as you can see, and well, looks like pretty good attacking chances basically in front of us there. Black had just played rook a3 and threatening rook takes b3, and essentially the question was, what was I going to do? Was I going to really go for it and sack everything, or was I going to just defend the pawn? Well, I mean, you know what I wanted to do, really. I just wanted to sack the pawn. I don't know whether it was the very best. It was very, it was very, very dangerous. So from a practical point of view, not bad at all. The computer does keep on telling me off, actually. And what the computer wants to do in this position is just to play something very positional, something like queen d1, and then try and bring the knight around f4 to d5, for example. But, well, I didn't put the knight on h5 in order to put it back on d5. But I think that's a very decent plan, actually. Completely reasonable. So after rook a3, what sort of attacking possibilities have I got? Well, a lot, as you can see. I've got a huge number of attacking units in there. I've got queen on d2, bishop on e3. So we've got some nice little thoughts of coming around here. We've got two rooks, of course, on the half-open f-file, looking at there. And we've got two knights, which can be sacrificed in a quite impressive variety of manners. And what we've also got, of course, we've got our G4 pawn, which can just be used also to break open the f-file. I mean, looking at all that, I really thought, I've really got serious chances here. Another interesting idea, which also occurred to me actually, was that I'd also have this resource, d3 to d4, which can be quite nice. All depends, probably not now for the moment, but it does attack the knight on e5, so it gives you the chance of getting a defensive piece away. And if black plays c takes d4, then this pawn is hanging, and of course this rook will be attacked afterwards. So I just noticed that just at the beginning and thought, well, something to bear in mind at any rate. So how was I going to attack? Actually, there's only one variation which I seriously considered, and that's the one that I played in the game. And I chose to play g4 to g5. But looking at it with the computer afterwards, and trying to compare the things that I'd seen during the game with what it saw, it actually came up with a very interesting other idea which hadn't occurred to me. And that was, white could have played here knight f takes g7. When I saw that move appear on the screen, I was a little bit quizzical. But black can play bishop takes g7, and then the idea is that white plays bishop h6. So this was the move that I hadn't spotted at all. I was only looking at something like knight takes g7 or knight takes f6, which doesn't really get you anywhere. Obviously, black doesn't want to exchange off his dark squared bishop. This would be pretty catastrophic. Knights coming into f6, rooks coming into f6. So black plays bishop h8, just trying to maintain some control of here. And then white plays rook takes f6. This is the key idea. The point about this one is that white has a very big follow-up threat, and that's queen g5 check, which is just going to be terminal. So this looks really incredibly dangerous. The computer goes on and actually finds a draw. It's huge amounts of analysis, but as far as I can judge, it all looks pretty good. Just give you one main line, just give you a taste of it, because it's just a very nice attacking technique. Knight to f7. So what's the point of knight f7? It's stopping queen g5. Queen to f4, threatening a couple of things. Rook takes e6 or rook takes f7. Queen to e7, protecting both. And actually what black is going to try and do now, black's going to try and bring the rook to a8, and then try and play the rook to a1. And in this way, he's going to try and reduce the number of attackers that white has got. It's a very nice, efficient idea. So what does black do? What does white do here? Well, white, remember we talked about all our units. Well, we sacrificed one of them. But there's still one other unit that we haven't used, and that's the g-pawn. So we're coming with g5. Rook ea8 and g6. Incredible, this stuff, isn't it, really? H takes g6, and then rook takes g6. King to h7. And, well, the lines go on and on and on. We'll just have a little look at what the main line of the computer was. That was knight f6 check, bishop f6, rook f6, rook g8, king h1, queen takes f6, queen f6, rook g6, queen e7, rook h6, rook f7 check, bishop f7, queen f7, king h8. And we've actually got perpetual here with queen f8, king here and queen f7. Don't usually give those long computer variations, but it just, you know, it was a completely new concept to me. I just hadn't spotted that this was possible, and well, you know, it's nice to just nice to see one of those variations just from time to time. It's what I actually played was again pretty thematic as well. It's all about attacking these pawns. I've seen some nice variations. I played g5. So what can black do? What I was looking at was rook b3. I thought this was the main line, but black's got a number of other moves. Bishop f7, which I thought was not very good, and that's what was played in the game. We've also got, have we got any other sort of ideas? We've also got a move like bishop f5, for example. That's also a possibility. Just trying to get rid of one of the attackers. I'm going to have a look at rook takes b3 first, because this is really the key thing. You know, black's said that he can take these pawns, so I mean, you know, he should be willing to put white to the test. I was looking at a number of things here, but the move that I really wanted to play was g takes f6. The computer again is quite keen on taking on g7 here in this position, and so knight g7, bishop g7, and then g takes f6. Also very, very dangerous indeed. But it seems that black is approximately surviving. My idea of gf6 was that after rook takes d3 immediately, then the idea is to play f takes g7 in between. And what's the point of this idea? The idea is that if rook takes d2, then I've got knight h6 mate, which is really lovely. But there were a couple of things I needed to calculate after g takes f6, and one was g6. Looks a little bit, looks awkward, but of course, you know, black is sort of destroying my whole structure. You know, whilst I'm busy throwing things forward, black's taken this pawn, he's going to take this pawn, he's going to take this pawn as well, and then there's not much left in my position. You know, black would be willing to give up, you know, an exchange in some way, this, for example, just to be able to get, well, sort of dim white's attack down a little bit, and then also give him the opportunity to, you know, to grab this pawn and this pawn. So g6 looks pretty decent, but what I had actually discovered was that I've got a number of very nice ideas all based on the mate that we've just seen, that same mating pattern, with something on g7 and a knight on h6 check. But here I've got to work a little bit harder. I can't get a pawn on g7, but I can try and get something else on g7. So I was looking at going bishop h6. Now if black goes rook d3, I've got this very nice move here, f7 check. What's the point of this move? Well, we're going to see it. It does actually free up a number of squares like f6, and it does also actually open the f-file, which brings these two guys into play. Now, obviously, something like knight f7 is not very good, simply because now he's got a rook on d3. I can just actually take it. So bishop f7 is the most natural. And now I'm coming in with my idea, which is bishop takes f8. And I was checking this during the game, and I was so thrilled that it worked. The idea is after rook takes d2, I go knight h6 check, and black just can't avoid mate. King h8, bishop g7 is mate. And after king takes f8, I've got rook takes f7, knight f7, and rook f7. And that's all mate. Knight covers g8, rook covers all the rest. Really nice idea. So, you know, when I saw that, I mean, those were the types of variations that, you know, when you see that, and it's, you know, it all looks pretty thematic, basically, then, well, that often decides you to play a variation, because, I mean, you can't calculate everything. Well, black can play rook takes d3. And then my idea was simply f takes g7, threatening knight h6 check. So bishop takes g7, and this is one of the points, you know, often in calculating, you know, you can't calculate everything, you've got limited time. So there I was thinking, well, at least I've got a number of options here. You know, I've got lots of things I could do. I could play queen e2 here, or I could take on g7 even, you know, even that would be strong. So, you know, I had sort of lots of options here. The point is, of course, you know, when you come to the board, often you actually you get the position you were dreaming about on the board. The lots of options that you had turn out to be just a little bit less and a bit less good. The first problem was queen e2, and actually I only spotted one of these problems a little bit later. After bishop f5, ef, black can actually just play bishop f6. And this one bishop on f6 just blocks everything. I mean, this is blocked, this is blocked, this is blocked. Amazing, but true. I mean, actually, black's just stands very well here. I'd seen that during the game, but what I'd thought was that after bishop f5, I can go rook f5. Unfortunately, I'd completely missed the subtle point here. I'm not actually threatening rook takes e5. So, for example, if black plays rook e6, I can't play rook takes e5 because d takes e5 protects the rook, and I'd completely missed that. And that is rather painful because it gives black the time basically to play this rook move to e6, and then this rook is going to move to g6. And it's defending absolutely everything, you know, the bishop on g7, any attacks along the g file. He's actually getting some attacks of himself along the g file as well. So actually it just means this queen e2 option, which, you know, I had in reserve, I didn't actually have in reserve. Now I had also seen that that this would be a pretty dangerous idea. Knight takes g7, rook takes d2, and bishop takes d2. I mean, what has white got here? White's got well, only a piece for the queen, but some very unpleasant things coming in. I mean, I've got ideas with knight e8 and knight f6 check, and this bishop is also going to come into h6 when I'm going to get threats of rook f8 check. Really thought this would be extremely dangerous. I mean, there's lots of variations, and a lot of them do end up, you know, very good for white. The only sad thing is that the best way that black can play is just to take everything, and that's, well, that's a little bit annoying, really. So, for example, probably the very best move here is for black to play bishop takes h3. So I go knight takes e8, bishop takes f1. Now, when I was calculating this at home, I was just going absolutely crazy, you know, trying to get the black king pinned down. It's just like trying to squash jelly, basically. So, I mean, I found a number of variations, but I didn't find the best one, it seems. So I put, after putting it on the computer, we came up with some quite good things in the end. And the very best line that we found is quite amusing. It was knight e(f)(6) check, king f7. Obviously, if the king's going to h8, then I'm getting bishop h6, and this bishop g7 idea, which is winning. So the king's got to go into the line of fire, but somehow it just doesn't seem to matter at all. So knight d7 check, black goes king e8. So king e7, we've got bishop g5 check, of course, but, well, black's not going to do that. And after knight hf6, black is just playing simply king e7. And it's just really, really hard to believe in actual fact, but this just is not winning for white. I mean, it just isn't. So actually probably the best thing is the rather cool line that the computer pointed out, which is bishop g5, queen to a5, knight takes e5, d takes e5, and knight h7 check, which is really very nice. The idea being is now is that white can just give perpetual on f6, f7 and f8, and well, black can't run further than a6. And if he comes to e8, then the knight on h7 covers this f8 square, so rook f8 check is possible. It's not really worth trying to play the position by taking the bishop on f1. I mean, this white has a bit more material nominally, but this b pawn is a really fast piece. Black's not going to lose this. Yeah, black even got chances to win it in actual fact. So it seems that, and I find this incredibly unfair and hard to believe, but it seems that if black had really taken this pawn on b3, despite all the storm clouds gathering on the board, on the king's side, then black could in actual fact have made a draw. A rather fraught draw, must be said, but all the same, a draw. What are the other ideas? Bishop takes f5 was also a possibility. And then I'm playing rook takes f5. And I'm now just threatening g takes f6 and f7 check. And that's really very dangerous. I mean, I'm doing really, really well here. So what did my opponent do? He went bishop f7. And after this, I actually managed to make use of one of the extra themes that I'd seen, which was quite nice. Apparently, the computer thinks that g takes f6 was also winning. A lot of very dangerous lines there, but I like the one that I played much more. So I went knight h6 check. Now, if black goes king h8, then I was just going to take on f7, knight takes f7, gf, g6, and knight g7, with the point that bishop g7, I've got fg, and I've just got a very good position here. Probably going to end up playing probably something with h4 to h5 is a nice way to try and open up the king side. So black took on h6, and I went knight f6 check, king h8, knight takes c8. So I've really opened up the f-file now, I've got the power of the two rooks on there. But black went queen takes c8, and just for a moment it looks as if this has actually turned out all right. After all, you know, solid knight on e5, this bishop on f7, protected by the queen, yeah, maybe it's all okay. But now there was this other theme that I got. You know, I'd seen that I'd had just another attacking unit, and that's true, I've got d4. And this is extremely annoying for black. Essentially, he's got to take this pawn on d4. I mean, if the knight moves away, for example, to a square like this, then I'm just taking on f7, which is just winning. But after cd4, I go bishop d4, activating my bishop along this diagonal, and just threatening to actually take on f7, due to the pin. And, I mean, if nothing else, then I'm just simply going to take on e5, take on e5, and then take on f7. That's just, just with extra exchange and, well, huge attack. So black tried bishop g7, maybe just get the bishop out of the way, hope that if I take on here, maybe that, that he can take on there and get some checks. But I don't need to do anything complicated. I can actually just play g takes h6. And complete carnage. I'm just threatening h takes g7 and bishop takes e5. And the game ended very quickly. I took there. I went queen g5, just threatening now bishop takes e5 and rook f7. h6, queen h6, rook g3 check, and rook g2. And, well, stopping queen h8 check is not really possible. So quite a fun little game there. Amazing what the computer discovers on top of things. What I do want to say about it is that it's sometimes very handy, because it's what I did and it helped me right at the end, is to really take a good note of all the attacking units that you've got and all the possibilities for bringing those units into attack. I think if I hadn't noticed that this pawn on d3 and d3, d4 was an idea, a little while back, then I might not have seen this, that knight h6 check was winning in this particular way. So it's just a very simple way of doing things, looking at your units, seeing whether more of them can be brought in some way, maybe chasing a central piece away, something like that. And that often helps, when you're calculating variations.
Hi, this is Grandmaster Damian Lemos. First of all, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you would like to receive more free chess videos from us, you can just click the subscribe button below. I would also highly recommend signing up for my free mail course, the 10 Grandmaster Secrets to Dominate Chess. During this exclusive course from onlinechesslessons.net, I'll share with you my own Grandmaster shortcuts to effective attacking, defending, and growth hacks to improving your chess without complicated books or memorization. So sign up by clicking the sidebar on the right, and I know you won't be disappointed. Once more, this is Damian for onlinechesslessons.net, and I'll see you in my videos. Thank you.